Hello and welcome back to the Educational Psychology Service online training library. In this video series, we will be focusing on creating positive transitions for young people within education. During this series, we will introduce a three-staged model or recipe for a great transition. This is the introductory video for the series, and we'll start by looking at why transitions are important to get right and which specific challenges might arise during educational transitions. The intended audience for this video series is teachers, SENCOs, and parents who are supporting young people to make transitions in their education. Let's start with the definition. Educational transitions occur when a child moves from one part of their educational journey to another. We might separate these transitions into major transitions, referring to moves between different education settings, and more regular transitions, referring to within-school transitions between year groups. This video will focus on the major transitions that young people make between education settings. However, many of the approaches we recommend also apply to students preparing for regular transitions, and schools with outstanding practice in this area will often use them as students move from one year group to another. It's very clear in educational research that positive transitions are important for supporting children and young people's well-being. By the same token, negative experiences of transition are damaging for students. Typically, a bad transition causes a chain reaction which affects young people's sense of belonging, trust in adults, sense of achievement, self-confidence, and development of goals. Any or all of these effects could lead to a reduction in school attendance and, in the most serious cases, to emotionally based school avoidance, or EBSA. And national attendance statistics highlight that cases of EBSA often spike in years 7 and 8, which indicates what an important transition primary to secondary school is to get right. The national data also shows that reduced attendance has serious and direct impacts on academic progress. Students that attend less than 50% for at least one term during years 10 or 11 have just a 10% chance of passing 5 GCSEs. And of course, there are also wider impacts when school or college attendance suffers, for example on the development of social skills, friendships, health and exercise, development of goals, aspirations, confidence and life skills. Change is always difficult, and especially so for young people that may lack life experiences, resilience, or the ability to rationalize their fears. One psychological definition of change makes a comparison with the experience of grief and the stages of emotions that most people go through when they experience a loss of the familiar. A booklet on transitions which helps us understand the psychological experience of transitions has been put together by the Educational Psychology Service. And a good transition is always based on the empathetic view that change is difficult for everyone. On top of this, research into education transitions shows that there are some specific challenges that are associated with certain age groups, backgrounds and life experiences, and special educational needs. And arguably the biggest and most important transition for young people is the one between their primary and secondary school. Many students report that they found it difficult to move from a cozy primary school with one teacher and one classroom for all their lessons to a much larger education setting. As well as adapting to the different environment, teaching, and curriculum, it's often difficult for students in Year 7 to adapt to the new social landscape, for example, feeling that they do not belong like they did in primary school, that they do not have the same friendship groups, and/or that the interests of their friends are changing. When moving to secondary school, studies have found that children are most worried about the following things: getting lost, missing friends from their previous school, discipline and detentions, increased homework expectations, and being bullied. There are also specific challenges for children moving between preschool and primary school. For example, they're moving from an entirely play-based foundation stage to gradually more and more structured academic learning. They might be wearing uniform for the first time, having meals and snacks at scheduled times rather than grazing, and having to share adult attention in a larger class group. And for young people starting at college, they have the challenge of adapting to new freedoms and expectations of independence, often including a lack of school uniform, longer travel times, responsibility for managing coursework, sometimes juggling study with part-time work, and the idea of occupying themselves during free periods. Change is difficult for everyone. However, there are some groups which are known to experience additional difficulties when moving between education settings, for example, autistic young people, or those with experiences of the care system, or students for whom English is an additional language. The following videos in this training series will refer to top tips and specific resources for students from all age groups, backgrounds, and categories of special educational need. The structure for this series will be to break transitions down into 3 stages: a pre-transition preparation and planning stage, an active transition stage, and a post-transition consolidation and review stage. For each stage, there is a video with examples of useful activities and resources that can be downloaded for free from the EPS website to help young people make positive transitions between education settings. Thanks for watching. We hope you find the following videos in this series useful and relevant to your role.